For crying out loud, Alex Jones is seeming more and more like an oracle. If Alex Jones were to tell you this not long ago, listen, here's what's going to happen. You're going to show up. And if your bank accounts go after your family, and they will follow you to the ends of the earth. Trust me, I have seen the camps. Let's get to this guy, Jordan Klepper, who I found out did have a show on Comedy Central. It was canceled, so now Trevor Noah is carrying his water. So Jordan Klepper went down to the Canadian Freedom Convoy, and you would think, speak out against authority, speak out against the police who are abusing protesters. Remember, people say don't punch down. They say we're punching down when we go after LGBTQAIP, or Dave Chappelle does, right? I can't think of anything more punching down than literally going to a protest where people have had their rights infringed upon, have been locked down, have their businesses shut down, and mocking them. But that's what Jordan Klepper said is the ticket for him.
The trucker convoy has arrived in Ottawa.
This city in the downtown core remains gridlocked. Some residents here say that they really can take no more.
So I traveled to Ottawa, expecting to find some Canada Nice. But their messaging was a bit more coarse. These trucks shut down businesses and made roads impassable.
So he there complains, these people shut down business. Hold on a second. So that bothers you.
Yeah.
They shut down businesses. Do you mean like Prime Minister Trudeau locked down, shut down businesses, which, by the way, resulted in 3 million jobs lost, another 200,000 lost in January, and Canada only has, what is it? It's like 30-something million people.
30-something million people.
30-something million. That's almost 10% of Canada lost their jobs.
Wow.
It's crazy.
But you're mad because of a few trucks on a highway overpass? So then he moves on to interview, and this is sort of just a selective editing that you see, right, to find one person in a crowd who seems crazy. And the funny thing is, this guy doesn't seem all that crazy when you take it in context, and implies that they're just paranoid. So here's Jordan Klepper doing the people's work.
You're committed to being here for 2 years.
Yeah, because 2 years is nothing.
How are you going to keep up the energy to be here for 2 years?
That's not a problem. People will bring it.
Stimulants?
No, the people will bring it. I smoke a lot of weed. Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's just to calm me down and keep me centered.
Are you worried at all with weed, paranoia? That
No.
might creep in? No.
No.
No. Do you think the government is coming for you?
Oh yeah, constantly. They do like night little tactics. They try to they move around, they move in, they add more.
Are you paranoid?
No.
Sure.
Okay, so first off, it's funny that this is a guy who's obviously been pro-weed in the past. You can go and research his pieces in the past, and I'm not
probably high right now.
Yeah, he's probably high right there. But he says you're not paranoid. He's trying to, of course, this implication when you don't make an argument, right? Is someone just says, "Yeah, I think the government's coming after me." Oh, but you're not paranoid. That's just it's like Fred Penner. Let me explain. I have to play Fred Penner for my twins. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that guy ever got a job. It's just lazy songwriting. Fred Penner. It wasn't child friendly. He just says like, I got a mug, and oh no, there's a bug in my mug, but it's not, so I'm gonna drink from my mug. Fred Penner's place. You should be fired. It's lazy.
It's for frickin' 6-month-olds.
Who is Fred Penner?
I don't even know.
I don't want to talk about it. It's only gonna make me mad. My point is,
Get some Raffi in your life, son.
it's lazy arguing. And he just assumes that an uneducated audience will go, "Whoa, yeah, paranoid, the government's going to come after him." Well, I guess those viewer of the show or the Jordan Klepper segments, or as Jordan Klepper segments on Trevor Noah, as they're commonly, you know what they're referred to in the Nielsen ratings?
What's that?
They're referred to as piss break.
Ah.
So the Jordan Klepper segment, I guess the viewers maybe didn't actually track down this clip of the crazy Ottawa police chief saying that even if protesters go home after this, in other words, not just right now, if protesters go home or anyone who's been involved with these protests at all, and you're going to see this in a second, and I hope it's as terrifying to you as it is to me that this is happening in the Western world. He says afterwards they will be tracked down and punished. No mention of due process.
If the protesters at this point, retreat and go home, are they going to be getting sort of repercussions down the road? Or are you going to be sort of actively pursuing the people that you've been sort of documenting and filming who are still out there protesting? What are your plans after this, after the protest is over?
Thank you. It's a great question. And the simple answer is yes. If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges. Absolutely. This investigation will go on for months to come. It has many, many different streams, both from a federal financial level, from a provincial licensing level, from a criminal code level, from a municipal breach of court order, breach of court injunction level.
Right.
And Marty McFly's Playboy level.
Yes. That is terrifying. And by the way, first off, this isn't even smart because you're not giving these people an out. What do you think is going to happen? Do they want these people to become violent? Because when you say, hey, by the way, you made your voices heard and you protested and nobody was hurt, we're going to harm you once you leave.
It's insane.
A part of me wonders if they're trying to get people to say, well, there's nothing to lose now. That's if you want peace, you give somebody an out.
Yeah.
By the way, the out would have just been, okay, you don't have to show a vaccine passport to go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
That would have been a nice out, but at least at this point, give them an out where if you go home, we're not going to freeze your bank accounts and harm your family. And this is something else but again, it's just crazy paranoia. For crying out loud, Alex Jones is seeming more and more like an oracle. If Alex Jones were to tell you this not long ago,
listen, here's what's going to happen. You're going to show up, and if you even so much as protest at the Capitol, they will freeze your bank accounts.
Yeah.
Freeze your bank accounts, go after your family, and they will follow you to the ends of the earth. Trust me, I have seen the camps.
Or in Canada.
I have seen the camps, you know.
Hey.
I've been around.
I know what I'm talking about.
I know what I'm talking about. I'm pissed.
And this is also something where a lot of conservatives abandon public schools. They abandon public office. So the police chief before this guy resigned before this. Now I understand probably, I don't know why. I'm inferring here, okay? Just to be clear, I don't want to do propaganda. I'm letting you know that I'm making, this is conjecture. Probably didn't want to be involved with the complete destruction of basic human rights in Canada. Yeah. But the problem is if you abandon your post, a lot of conservatives leave, they leave these places. They concede that territory. Guess what? Trudeau or whoever is in charge of that office, whatever patsy for the higher-ups, can plant whoever they want there, and now you've got a guy who's going to do the bidding for that government and follow people after the protests to punish them.
Yeah. Well, and just think about this for a second, because they're saying, like you said in Alex Jones' voice, freezing your bank accounts. Like, seriously, that is happening to people right now who are doing nothing more than protesting. And by protesting, I mean parking a truck in downtown Ottawa and dancing.
Well, but to go back to the trucker, even part of that when you said, when is it propaganda? You go into a place that's freezing cold. You find a guy who's scared. He's never been on camera before. Clearly, he's a little bit twitchy. He's a little bit nervous. He's never been interviewed like that in that situation. You find the exact guy who you're mocking because you know you can. That's when it stops being comedy and begins to be propaganda.
And by the way,
because it's punching down.
Yes, and it doesn't even work. Because the guy's right. Oh, wait, you mean he's paranoid that the government might come after him? I wonder where he could have seen that within a 5-block radius of where you interviewed him.
Oh, you're saying there's more and more police. What a crazy guy.
I know. What a loon.
We're being arrested. Man being kneed there.
Totally makes sense. This is all over a virus.
It's for your health, Dave.
Come on through. Come on through. What is happening here?
Just riding horses on people, everybody.
Man.
I'm sure they were Clydesdales by accident.
Oh, that's totally normal.
They just trampled that lady.
Was that exactly 4 horsemen?
They just fully trampled that lady. They just fully trampled.
And Trudeau followed with it.
What is wrong with this world?
Now, here's the thing. I understand that horses, this happens sometimes. It's an accident. You guys should clear. But what were they? They were clearing a path for what?
No reason.
All that happened was the horses went by, and you're going, okay, who are they? What is it? An ambulance behind them? Because when Black Lives Matter, remember, some people died because they were in houses, and the
they would
fire
ambulances.
The fire trucks couldn't get there.
Yeah.
I thought, we're going to see a fire truck. Those horses just went through just for a good old-fashioned trampling.
This was a parade, Stephen. They have to get out of the way of the parade.
And I love a parade.
Yeah.
And they're not going to rain on it.
Nope. It's raining horseshoes.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
It's a raining shoe.
So I guess it's paranoid to think the government might come after, I don't know, businesses that we've seen with the Canadian government, of course, that maybe they'll come. Or maybe it's paranoid, this crazy little guy, right, Jordan Klepper, the bully that you are. Maybe it's crazy for Canadians to be paranoid that the government might come after, I don't know, pastors.
Seems like an unsafe place to arrest a pastor in the road.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. So you released, you have some conditions? Did you have conditions?
What conditions?
Where
what did I breach? What did I breach?
Is this what
Seems
you do?
reasonable.
You arrest preachers?
Is that a black cop? Now I've seen everything.
And Canada.
You took an oath. no better than the Nazis.
By the way, that cop and the police chief in Canada should be stripped of their badges like officer and a gentleman. Just, oh.
Yeah. They were just doing their jobs.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
And that man should be carried out like so.
Yes. Lord, lift us up where we belong.
Oh, boy.
Where the horses stomp. Also, I don't know, maybe the government could force quarantines. The point is, it's not paranoia if it's happening. Yeah. It's like somebody interviewing me and me saying, I don't know, I'm paranoid that there's tepid tea in that mug.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, really? You just think there's going to be? Yeah, because it appears almost every morning. There has never been a more clear example, maybe Australia, in the Western world of a tyrant than Trudeau. This man is not going to stop.
No.
He's not going to stop. He doesn't care about your freedoms. And they don't have the same constitution that we have here in the United States. Remember when you all mocked Jordan Peterson about the compulsion of language? Well, guess what? Here's where we are now. Yeah. You don't think that this guy who's using the wrong pronouns? Of course he would. This is getting absolutely terrifying, and I'll explain to you exactly why the left is now covering this, because they ignored it for a long time. I'll explain to you exactly why Jordan Klepper feels the need to punch down. He really is a patsy for the higher-ups. I bet you this came to him as orders from Viacom. He uses this word here, finally. And just hear when he says finally and understand why it sends shivers up my spine.
And while Canadian authorities have finally enacted emergency measures to try to clear the convoy, so far the trucks are still there.
Finally. While he's finally enacted emergency orders. That's a finally of support.
Yeah.
And of course, taken in context, I recommend that you go watch this entire clip. I think it's over at the Comedy Central channel. They finally enacted emergency orders. Hey, remember Bill Hicks? Remember Lenny Bruce? Remember George Carlin? Remember people talking about how the government wasn't equipped to do anything? And now this comedian, right, is demanding not only fewer rights for himself,
right,
unless it's having sex with a dude. That's what they consider rights. Or having sex with a dude, killing an unborn baby, all the way up until including birth.
Whatever.
But when you're talking about things like basic rights, you know, finally the Prime Minister has made sure that he can ban travel in the country of Canada to and from specific areas. Force evacuation of people and property. That means steal people and steal property. Force private companies like tow trucks to comply. Loss of personal, commercial licenses. He'll just strip you of them. Yep. Loss of right to travel internationally at all, let alone within the borders. Fines of up to $100,000, by the way, from the government to the truckers. And then fines of $5,000 to people who don't move the trucks. Jail up to 5 years. Wow. Jail up to 5 years for parking a truck. You know, when people say insurrection January 6th, I'll tell you what. This is a far greater tragedy than January 6th, and it's what the government is doing to its own people. Because guess what? Even when there is no January 6th, you stomp them. Sure, Babbitt was shot, was the only person shot, by the way, January 6th. One woman, unarmed, shot, completely unnecessary. Let's be clear, as far as I know, there haven't been the same charges of insurrection against those people. Here, we have protesters in Canada who've been entirely peaceful. Contrast with billions of dollars in damages from Black Lives Matter, right? And Antifa. How many people were shot in Chaz? At least 3. Would have been 5 if our producers were shot when we were filming there live. And the government still beats the shit out of them. Hits them with nightsticks. Stomps them with horses. Let alone freezing their bank accounts and letting them know that they will continue to ruin their livelihoods for the rest of time should they deem fit. This is far worse than January 6th. So then he goes on this, Jordan Klepper, he goes on to just basically selectively edit to try and make people on the street look crazy. And he continues with this general, I guess, sort of malfeasance and degradation of Canadian truckers. But again, it's still pretty telling. Let me show you the end of it.
And a well-funded, never-ending street party infused with misinformation and nationalism feels remarkably possible in our own land of the free.
Where does this movement go
Is
from
he always
here?
nasally or is that
I believe it's going to
cocaine?
be worldwide.
It's going to come to America?
Yes, definitely.
You think this is inspiring the heads in America?
Pardon me?
This is inspiring the heads in America?
It's inspiring people. People of America.
See, you're a piece of shit, and they're polite.
To stand for freedom.
Okay, if they do come to America, then maybe I'll finally get my f***ing end table.
Okay, so two things.
Just homo say whatted.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, sorry.
No, exactly.
So
it's opposite day sarcasm.
That's what he did, though. It's really pathetic.
It's the absence of wit. Here's something. Notice when we did the riots they started.
Yeah.
We streamed that night. Over 150,000 of you were watching when the riots started, the peaceful protests. All we did was show you what was happening across the country, right?
Yeah.
Didn't even require that much commentary. We showed you CNN where it said mostly peaceful. This happened live on our show, and now it's sort of become a meme because everyone else saw what was going on. Said fiery but mostly peaceful protests. We just showed you exactly what was going on. Okay, in this case, you don't think for a second if this guy could find an example of violence or insurrection or something on fire or a crime being committed that he would include it? He can't, so he has to say, dickheads in America, and he's corrected by the nice people being interviewed, you know, mothers who aren't used to being on camera saying, well, we hope that it inspires people, and this is the point. Why are they addressing this now? I'll tell you exactly why they're addressing this now. They are afraid that this could be a groundswell and that it could come to the United States because, yes, the supply chain has been disrupted. That is a wonderful way to peacefully protest and make your voices heard because you're not directly burning down somebody's business. What you are doing is forcing the government to, well, if they had any sense, take a seat at the table and listen. This is how most great civil rights protests have taken place. And by the way, we're not just talking about civil rights, we are talking about basic human rights. But this is, make no mistake, a civil rights protest, regardless of color, and it's a mixed crowd. It's Canada, so it's not quite as mixed as, you know, anywhere outside of Canada, but it's still as mixed as you're going to have in Canada. They are afraid of this coming to the States, and I have said this many times. I hope it does. I would love to see a Freedom Trucker Convoy here in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to see that here in the United States, especially if it's as peaceful as it was in Canada.
I know.
I would love to see a Freedom Convoy here in the United States. That's a peaceful way to have an impact. And now, of course, they have to address it. By the way, I'm pretty sure that's the show Trevor Noah was watching.
I think so.
Or the day before.
Where you called them out, yeah. But what are we supposed to do? Protest in an ineffective way? Is that what sit-ins were back when you were fighting for civil rights? When you took over the Wisconsin State House and basically just all sat in there? It's an effective way of getting in the way and making yourself the impediment. Well, they're doing the same thing with trucks. That's it.
Right.
What do you want them to? Okay, here's the deal. I got a question for you. Truckers, do you want to do this? Instead of clogging downtown Ottawa, go and sit on the side of every single road in Canada and still don't deliver packages and goods. Still effective. What are they going to do to you then? Oh, well now we're not blocking a thing. You can get down into Ottawa if you would like. We're just not doing the job that will make you feel the pain.
Well, let me just tell you, I don't want them to do that. I want them to continue.
I do. I want them to do both, but I don't want Justin Trudeau's hatchet men going in there, beating people up and stealing money from their bank accounts, shutting down financial institutions for just funding people, and didn't have a problem with doing it for Black Lives Matter, but have a problem doing it with people.
Raise money for serial felons with Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
Well, cutting off all funding, taking all their money away, it's just absolutely amazing that anybody could be on the side of that.
For peacefully,
let alone comedians.
Comedians, and you're talking about Lenny Bruce and Carlin. Like, Lenny Bruce and Carlin, if people don't know, were arrested together once.
Right.
For stuff like this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they were conservative, but look at the time difference. Like, look at the timeline. This has nothing to do with politics anymore.
Right.
This is being taken over by a government.
Right.
Everything's stolen from you.
Yeah.
Why would you ever be on the side of that?
Whatever.
So you can go, like Carla would sit there and go, dickhead says what? To an elderly woman who doesn't even, oh, that's what? Oh, no, it's for people there.
For people. No, we didn't say dickhead. That's what you said out there. We're saying, we want them to have a movement. So dickhead, stop using foul language.
Well, he's not even educated enough about the joke that he's telling because he said, because if you guys end up coming here, I might actually get my
sorry,
end
he's an
table.
unfunny piece of shit.
Yeah,
and I'll say that's ad hominem. His show got canceled, and so he has to, be a lackey for Trevor Noah. And you would think Trevor Noah, isn't he from South Africa?
Yes.
Wouldn't you think he'd just go like, hey, look, just so you know, I kind of have the inside lane on what happens with unfettered government power. It doesn't end well. Come on, Trevor. Why don't you just do your job and let this guy know that, you know what, maybe we don't want to pick on these protesters. Also, you know what? You want to know something else? When people say, hey, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, they can do whatever they want. They go, free speech is only when the government does it. When liberals say this, and by the way, of course, that's untrue when you look at Section 230 because the government and Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, right, they're one and the same when they're enacting policies of the government. They've said we want more curtailing of speech online, as we just saw recently from Susan Wojcicki. But even then, it's not an argument that the left actually believes in because right now, when you actually have the government of Canada arresting and punishing people for speech, you're fine with it anyway. So don't act. It's just like when people say, oh, what about Dreamer children? Fine. Dreamer children, let's say they can all stay. Would you get rid of, right? Can we evict? Can we kick out all of the illegal criminals who are overcrowding our prisons? Can we get rid of sanctuary cities? Well, no. Well, then don't say that you care about the kids who are here the anchor babies because that's not what it's about. When you say abortion, right, they go, well, what about rape and incest? Okay, if we allowed all abortions for rape and incest, would you be, well, no, well, then don't say it's about rape and incest. Don't say it's about individual platforms being able to ban whatever speech they want and it's not technically censorship because you're fine with it when the government does it anyway. And I know that in Canada they don't have freedom of speech, which is what you would like to bring here to the United States, but let's not act like if we cross that bridge, you're going to have a problem with it then. You only demand fewer rights and less speech. I've never seen it in my lifetime. If you're on the same page as me, smash that like button. Smash the like button if you have never seen in your lifetime people in our generation, people who are supposed to flip the bird to figures of authority, doing their bidding like we are seeing right now.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.